Good morning, you guys. I did get to do the lab yesterday, and I'm kind of sad because this would have been a really fun one for us to do as a class, but I did get to do it, and I took some pictures and I put the data on here. So I'm going to show you what I would like you to do for this lab. So if you go to Google Classroom, go to Classwork, you're going to go to the Enzyme Lab. And you guys have till May 4th to do it. Click on that. Alright, so this is a Catalase Lab activity. And what I did is I put hydrogen peroxide with some potato puree. And if you've ever used hydrogen peroxide, so a lot of people will use it for disinfectant. So you'll put it in your wound and it'll bubble, and those bubbles are actually oxygen gas. So here's the breakdown. We have hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, and it makes oxygen gas and water. Okay, so that is our reaction that we're looking for. This also happens in turnips, liver, potatoes. It just causes this decomposition of hydrogen peroxide, and to do that an enzyme is needed. Okay? And there's an enzyme in our blood, there's an enzyme in potatoes that causes this decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. So we are going to investigate how temperature affects the rate of catalase in potatoes, and examine how that temperature affects how fast that reaction happens. Okay, so what I did, I made this potato puree. I blended up a bunch of potatoes and some water. Then I put it into my tubes. These are tubes my daughter had in this little science kit that we got her. So I put about 2 centimeters worth of puree in each tube. I used just regular hydrogen peroxide from the store. Here's my cute poodle puppy named Charlie. I just thought I'd throw that in there because he's so cute. So then what I did, I put the potato in the tubes, and I actually started at room temperature. So the first line I added potato puree, and then up to the second line I added hydrogen peroxide. So this was at 0 minutes, so right away. This was at 1 minute. At 2 minutes you can see that the foam is starting. This foam is oxygen gas. At 3 minutes it's up to the top. At 4 minutes it started going over, so it got a little difficult to measure because it started to tip over, but I kind of did the best I could. And then at 5 minutes it kind of slowed down, and you got more space between the bubbles in here. Okay, so that was what I did for the first part, and I'll show you the data in a second. And then I, in 3 different tubes, did the same thing, but in different temperatures of water. So I had this measured in Fahrenheit, so I had to convert it to Celsius, which I'll show you that in a little bit. I put the potatoes in each of the tubes, each of 3 tubes. One of them I put into ice water. One I put into water that was about body temperature, and then I put, basically this is water from my Keurig, so it was super hot water. Right after adding, so this time I didn't measure the foam every minute, but I just waited 5 minutes and then I measured it at the very end. So right after adding the peroxide, this is what it looks like. I know these are kind of hard to see. It doesn't look like there's much really going on here. There's some bubbles going on here. Not much going on there. Okay, in our icy water, after 5 minutes, it was about up, not quite up to the top. The body temperature water, you can kind of see some of it spilled over the side again, so pretty significant oxygen production. And then we've got, for the hot water, it went not even an inch probably up, so it's pretty, not a lot of oxygen production there. Okay, so what you guys are going to do is, I'm going to send you this data, but before I do that, I want to show you how to do it. So you are going to go to your Google Drive, and actually I will share this with you, or I'll put it onto Google Classroom. So you're going to do a spreadsheet. Oops. What the heck? This is being not very helpful. Okay, my mouse wasn't working. So here's our Catalase Lab, and again, I'm going to share this with you, the data part. You are going to have to make your own graph. Okay, and there's two graphs you're going to make. The first graph you're going to make is our foam height at room temperature measured every minute. So our first point here is time, and we're going to do it in seconds. Okay. Our second part is our foam height in centimeters. Okay. And then I'm going to just put it in. So we'll start at 0 at 1 minute, so 60 seconds, 120, 180, 240, and 100. And then our foam height we'll say is 0. It started at 6, then we had 10, 14, 14, and 15. Okay. So this is our first graph. I'm going to actually foam height at room temperature. Be specific here. Okay, so this is what you guys are going to do. I'm going to give you this spreadsheet. You are going to highlight your data. Then you go to Insert Chart. Takes a little time sometimes. Okay, and this is your chart. So over time, you should, if you do this, if you highlight the two top columns, you'll have the labels already. So that's kind of nice. So we have time in seconds. We have our foam height at room temperature in centimeters. Okay, this looks pretty good. I don't think there's anything I really want to change. If there's stuff you want to change, you could go to Customize and kind of mess around with things to change your chart title. You could do that. You could change your axis or add axis titles if you need to, if you didn't do that right away. But really, if you did it just this way, it should look like this. Okay, then you're going to take this, you're going to copy it, and then you're going to put it right under here in Table 1. I'm actually going to make a copy of this so I don't write on it. Okay, so you just come in here, make sure you put in your foam height. Okay, so take that data from the other chart. Under where it says Graph 1 is where you're going to do Control V, and then you're going to link it to your spreadsheet, and it'll just pop right in there. Okay. Your second chart, want to move that aside. Again, I'm going to send you this data. So for table 2, we're going to do temperature in Celsius. Oops. And we're going to do foam height in centimeters. I'm going to write after 5 minutes. Okay, so our temperatures were 24 was our room temperature, 3.9 was our icy water, 44 was our body temp, and 70 was our hot water. Our foam height after 5 minutes was 15, we had 9.5, 14, and 2. Okay, you're going to do the same thing. Again, you're going to convert that into your chart, so write those in there. You want the temperatures and your foam height. Okay, so again, you're going to highlight your data, go to Insert, Chart. This one looks a little crazy because it's kind of up and down. So if I go to this side to Setup, and I'm going to go to where it says Chart Type, and I'm going to make just a scatter plot. So that'll just show you the dots. And I think that makes a little more sense. So as the temperature goes up, so low temperature's pretty low foam height. It goes up in the room temp and body temp range, and then it goes way down when it's hot. And remember we talked about denaturing proteins, so when it's very hot, those proteins can't work very well. So that's slowed down our process. Okay, so then you're going to take that, copy your chart, put it in under graph 2, so Control V, and then paste. It'll be right in there. You should have a title, you should have your axis, each axis labeled, and then you've got a few analysis questions to answer. We're not going to look at other groups, but you're going to compare the rates of oxygen production at different temperatures. And why do you think there's a difference? Well, remember we talked about when the temperature gets colder, the movement of molecules is less. So that substrate isn't going to be able to hit that active site as often. Okay, so that's slowed down in the colder temperatures. In the hot temperatures, remember we talked about the protein is actually denatured, so it's not able to work properly. Okay, so that I gave you the answer for number 2 right there. Why do you think we would want to decompose hydrogen peroxide that's produced in our cells? Hydrogen peroxide is not good for us, it's a poison, so our cells would want to get rid of that. Okay, so that would be the answer for that. And then if I put a little fun bonus question in there. Alright, so that is what you're going to do. So you're basically just you're going to do the second part of this. You're going to fill out your data analysis, put in your charts, and do your 4 or 5 questions. Okay? Let me know if you have any questions, and I will hopefully talk to you soon. Alright, I miss you guys. Bye.